What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got the rise and fall of Allen Robinson. Let's check
In 2015, Allen
Bears
Robinson
legend.
looked like an NFL superstar in the making. Impressive contested catches, touchdown leader as a sophomore, and multiple 1,000-yard seasons represented a talent capable of being one of the very best in the league. With a Pro Bowl under his belt by just 22 years old and a dazzling highlight reel, Robinson looked like a man destined for greatness. But then, it all went wrong. This is the story of the rapid rise and devastating fall of one of the NFL's most promising young wide receivers. Allen Robinson was born in Detroit, Michigan on August 24th, 1993. As a youngster, Robinson was always determined to make it as a pro football player. His journey to achieving that began at St. Mary's Preparatory School in suburban Detroit. In high school, he was also on the track and field team, but his primary love was football, where he helped guide the team to the state championship game during his senior year. Going into the 2011 college season, Robinson was ranked as a 3-star recruit, attracting attention from many Division I colleges before ultimately choosing to join the Penn State Nittany Lions. After a quiet freshman year, he had a real breakout sophomore campaign in 2012. He had officially arrived as a name to watch. That year, he put up 1,018 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns in 12 games, helping Penn State to an 8-4 season and earning the Big Ten Receiver of the Year award for his efforts. He would win the award again in his junior year with an even more impressive season, racking up 1,432 yards and being named All-American as one of the very best receivers in college football, alongside the likes of Mike Evans and Brandon Cooks. It was during that 2013 season that Robinson's draft stock really began to rise. Having only been a 3-star recruit, it was clear to most observers that Robinson had outstripped that status in his dominant 2 seasons in the Big Ten. At 6 foot 2.5 inches and 220 pounds, teams were excited by his size and his ability to make contested catches in the air. And despite not possessing electrifying pace, he ran a 4.47 second 40-yard dash at the combine. He possessed good movement for a man of his size and was excellent at getting open at the collegiate level. However, this would be an extremely strong receivers draft, with plenty of future NFL stars to pick from. As a result, Robinson would have to wait as 10 wideouts were drafted before him, including the aforementioned Mike Evans and Brandon Cooks, as well as Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham Jr., and just 8 picks above him, Devontae Adams. Right at the end of the second round, however,
Sammy Watkins had so much potential, bro.
The Jacksonville Jaguar with the 61st overall selection. This wasn't a dream destination, of course, as the Jags had gone 4-12 and had the league's worst offense the previous year. But with a new quarterback in Blake Bortles taken with the 3rd overall pick, there was at least the threat of a new era in Duval County, with Robinson as one of the signs of hope for a long-suffering franchise. However, the 2014 season was to be another tough year in Jacksonville, with the team going 3-13 and once again having the worst offense in football, averaging just 15
points. That's gotta suck watching your team only get 3 wins, bro. I'm glad I didn't have to go through that. I'm gonna keep it. Of course,
this wasn't on Robinson, and he made the most of what the struggling rookie Bortles threw his way, recording 48 receptions and 548 yards, as he and undrafted free agent Allen Hurns threatened to form a solid partnership if they could just get the ball more often. In 2015, the two Allens had their breakthrough, whilst the Jags as a whole suffered another poor season, going 5-11 and getting absolutely nowhere near the playoffs. Their passing offense was much better, with Bortles throwing 35 passing touchdowns, tied for 2nd in the league, only behind a guy called Tom Brady.
Wow.
Had a great season, cracking 1,000 yards.
What the fuck were the quarterbacks doing that year?
Notching
having Blake Bortles at number 2 is crazy.
With no player in the league recording more, eclipsed him, notching 1,400 yards for himself, with no player in the league recording more than his 14 receiving touchdowns. He cracked 100 yards in 6 separate games that year, with the season highlight being a 153-yard, 10-reception, 3-touchdown performance in a divisional game in Tennessee. Despite his best efforts in that one, Jacksonville still fell to a 42-39 loss on the road, highlighting that the greatness of a second-year receiver was really only able to take the team so far. For his efforts, Robinson was named to the 2015 Pro Bowl, a
back when the Pro Bowl meant something.
With many assuming that it would be the first of many. But in reality, Robinson would never make a Pro Bowl again, and he would never hit those heights he achieved at just 22 years old. In 2016, his production would take a step back, largely due to a much rougher year for his young quarterback. While 2015 Blake Bortles looked like a potential franchise quarterback in Jacksonville, the 2016 version of Bortles looked much less impressive, and his touchdown total plummeted from 35 to 23. Young
23 not
quarterbacks
bad.
failing to keep up their early promise is nothing new in the NFL. But of course, this has an adverse effect on their receivers, who can only do so much in these circumstances. His 2016 season wasn't bad by any means, but his end-of-year figures of 883 yards and 6 touchdowns were a significant decline from the year before, when he had put the league on notice. Still, going into the final year of his rookie contract in 2017, there was hope that he would get back to his best, back to the top table of NFL receivers, as he had been in his second season. However, that didn't happen, as disaster struck early in the very first game of the season. In a Week 1 matchup in Houston, Robinson suffered an ACL tear that ruled him out of the entire 2017 season. A devastating
ACL tears
that
suck,
would ultimately
bro.
change the course of his career. That year, without Robinson, the Jags would have a surprisingly good
Calais
season,
Campbell.
finishing 10-6 and going all the way to the AFC Championship game, falling in heartbreaking fashion to the Patriots in Foxborough. That
Yeah, it's crazy. I
offseason,
think didn't Jacksonville have like what a 10-point lead in that game too?
the Jags had a decision to make.
I think it was in the
Ultimately
fourth
let
quarter.
Robinson go in free agency, having achieved their best season in a decade with their star wide receiver 1 on the sidelines. However, plenty of teams were still interested in Robinson despite his injury woes,
He went to
hoping
the
they
Bears.
could rekindle that 2015 form. Having suffered from inconsistent quarterback play during his first few years, Robinson would have done well to rock up somewhere with a franchise QB that would guarantee him production. Instead, he signed for the Chicago Bears. Much like his time in Jacksonville,
all
Robinson
teams,
was
though.
brought in to be a threat for an up-and-coming quarterback who needed weapons. In this case,
Oh,
Mitch
Trubisky. Oh,
To
now it
Robinson's
makes
credit,
sense.
he knuckled down and made the best of another uncertain quarterback situation. He had a solid, if uneven year in 2018, putting up 754 receiving yards despite missing 3 games with a groin issue. This made him the team's leading receiver, as a superb defense carried the team to an NFC North title and a first playoff berth in 8 years. That playoff
Lost
game
double
famously
doink.
ended with a missed field goal known as the double
Bro,
doink, which
that
handed
is
the Bears
insane.
a 16-15 loss to the Eagles. But what's often forgotten
That was the year the
is
Eagles won the
just
Super
how
Bowl,
good
right?
Robinson was in that game. Robinson had 10 receptions and 143 receiving
he ain't the reason why they
yards, both
lost
of
then.
which are Bears playoff records, but were not enough to guide his team to victory.
Damn,
Chicago
y'all suck
struggled
that
to create
bad?
much more than that on offense. Nevertheless, games like this reminded everyone of the promise that he had shown in Jacksonville and set the table for his next 2 seasons in the Windy City. In both 2019
They got a
and
shag.
2020, Robinson cracked 1,000 yards receiving, and as a result, was the team's #1 receiver. It wasn't quite the game-breaking ability that had appeared to set him up for stardom in 2015, but it was still an impressive effort all the same, showing there was still plenty of quality in the 6'2" receiver. Or so we all thought. For the 2021 season, Robinson was given the franchise tag by the Bears.
Okay.
And from here, his career took a downward turn that it never recovered from. The team also moved on from Trubisky that offseason, who had been a disappointment in Chicago, and replaced him in the draft with Justin Fields, giving Robinson the task of aiding another young, promising quarterback's development. That season went badly for Fields, Robinson, and the
no
Bears
shit.
as a whole, with the team going 6-11. Fields threw more picks than touchdowns and was benched for Andy Dalton, contributing to Robinson putting up just 410 yards across his 12 games that year. Robinson was displaced by Darnell Mooney. as wide
Mooney.
receiver 1.
They did
The
Mooney
Bears put
dirty
up the
too,
league's
bro.
3rd worst passing attack on the season. Once again,
Mooney had a
Robinson been
breakout
let
year
down
last
by
year.
inconsistent QB play, but it was also worth considering the impact that injuries had on his career up to this point. From his ACL injury to groin issues to now a hamstring injury that partially derailed his 2021 season, it was clear that Robinson had not been dealt a good hand by the football gods, particularly in a contract year where he needed it the most. Robinson was released by Chicago at season's end, but was snapped up by the defending champion Rams.
I
in
forgot he
2022,
played for the
who would
Rams.
become the latest
Didn't he play for the
Eagles to
Lions, too?
reignite his flagging career. However, despite the Rams giving him a 3-year,
I think he did play for the
$46.5 million deal, he would last just 1 year in Los Angeles, where he put up just 339 yards before suffering another injury, this time to his foot. That season, he ranked 4th amongst LA receivers in yardage, and having become surplus to requirements, he was traded to Pittsburgh in 2023. The compensation was a swap of 7th rounders, such was the depressed trade value of Robinson, who was now approaching his age 30 season. In Pittsburgh, he was an afterthought as well, with just 280 yards that campaign,
I don't remember
his
him in
release
Pittsburgh.
in
I
the
ain't gonna lie.
offseason. In 2024, he featured sparingly for the Lions, which many of you watching this video are probably totally unaware of.
Nah, I was aware of it because I remember him going to the Lions.
And what could prove to be his final involvement in the league. It's a shame that his career has fizzled out like this. After all, in that 2015 season, he was outshining other receivers in his draft class like Mike Evans and Davante Adams, and it's fair to say their careers have turned out much better since. With those two,
they both have had. I won't say much for Mike Evans having good QB play, but Davante Adams for sure has had way better QB play than Allen Robinson.
Fame.
Mike Evans was just you know what I'm saying, hella consistent.
Headed in that same direction, but it ultimately wasn't to be.
It didn't matter what quarterback was throwing him the rock.
He was going to make a play. 3,000-yard seasons, a Pro Bowl selection, and over 7,000 career receiving yards, which is absolutely an impressive pro career. But without that ACL injury, and with better quarterbacks feeding him the ball, it could very easily have been so much more. How good do you think Allen Robinson could have been?
If it went to another team, he would have, you know what I'm saying, been a dog for sure. Nigga was stuck in Jacksonville and then Chicago. Like, bruh. But hey, man, shit, y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm going to react to. Without further ado, I'm out.
I'm chosen. I'ma make them feel me. Make them people when they show me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broken. But I know I'm chosen. I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.